Hey guys, welcome to the shop. Got a fast video this week thrown together. It's been one of those weeks. You know how summer is. We got everything else to do. So, hope you enjoy it and let's get started. Alright, so first thing I want to try to get started on is repairing this directional control for the K&T milling machine. Now it works the way that it is. Somebody's went in, they've repaired the areas that were worn, but they didn't do a very good job. So I want to bring you in, I want to show you what they did, and then we'll get started on going about fixing this thing. Check out that tapered gib. That is a monster tapered gib. That's out of the K&T milling machine. We're going to try to get the table somewhat off of that thing also. Alright, so the problem here is where this piece interacts with the table stops. You set the table stops, they run into these points and turn this off. So over the years, of course this thing was probably in heavy production and they got worn. Somebody built them up and didn't finish them. So that's what we're going to be working on, making this thing look halfway decent again. So this is actually 3 pieces. It's my main concern. This will be handwork right here. I'll just use a little 90-degree air power tool for that. And this is my main concern. Now I was going to build this top out of a piece of 4140, but this guy is hardened. So I'm just going to surface grind this, fill in my damaged areas, and just dress it up. It'll be fine. It'll look good when I'm done. And save me a little work. Now this has a number 5, I believe, tapered pin. This is 3 pieces. Hardened shaft, this bearing material, and then the top piece. The shaft runs all the way through. So we need to separate this top from this shaft so I can work on this. So we need to get out that number 5. I believe it's a number 5 tapered pin. This is the small end, so we'll be pushing on that. I'm going to try it in the press. So let's go over there and see if we can't get this thing apart. I just don't want to beat on it with a hammer. These are ground sides. So we're going to see if we can't press it up. Oh, yeah, come right out. There we go. One tapered pin. Alright, so now I want to press this top off the pin that goes through here. Put a setup to do that. So hopefully this thing's not in there that tight. It may be tough to get that tapered pin line back up if it is. Pretty tight. But it needs to be a good fit. You have to manipulate that handle a lot. I may regret that. Welding every day for the last 11 years has trained me to check my welding helmet before I put it on. Probably best to keep it in a bag, I would say. I've been bitten many times. Stung by wasps and everything. Thing will run at my arm and I'll scream like a girl in just a second. Or a guy with a spider on him. Okay, so I'm going to be welding on these sharp edges, so I turn the welder down quite a bit in hopes of not, rolling these edges too bad. It's going to happen, but to want to minimize it. I decided while I was working on, the table stops, I would just do them all. They all had wear on them. You can see the two small adjustable pieces here. All the edges were wore off, so I just decided to weld them up and grind them as well. Okay, so here I'm just feeding down with the grinding wheel, working both these edges at the same time. I got my wheel relieved, and it really goes really fast, to be honest. And it'll be plenty accurate enough for what I'm doing here. I'm just feeding down real slow by hand. Grinding with the outside of the wheel, and I'll be grinding with the bottom of the wheel. Pretty good. And I'm going to call these things done. Alright, so I've got my son out here helping me today. He is dipping a bunch of reamers in paraffin wax, trying to protect the ends, that were sent to me by Eric R. out of California. So I really appreciate it. He sent, it's a wide variety of sizes, so a lot that I didn't have, both under and over sizes of your common sizes. So we're sizing them all, writing them down. I'll take this information and transfer it over to my reamer notebook, so it doesn't do you any good to have them if you don't know what sizes you have. So that's what we're doing. Going through them, trying to protect them, get them cleaned up, sort the good from the bad. You get the idea. He also sent me a bunch of screws for my cover that goes on my arbor support that holds that oil sight on. So I really appreciate it. And I've showed this method before, but let me show you what we're doing. Okay, so this is just standard, paraffin wax. Works really well. We just use a little hot plate, heat it up in a part of a beer can, and get it to where it's a medium temperature, dip it in, and there you go. Peels off relatively easy, and keeps them from beating up against each other in the toolbox when you open and close it. So that's the deal. Sizing them and protecting them. Alright, so here's the graduation dial off the K&T mill. And at one point this is rubbed a lot on this outside edge. It's raised up a lip there. You can see that all the way around this, and makes lining up the little marks kind of tough because it has a rolled edge there. So I'm going to put this on the surface grinder and clean that surface off. It's just braided away and rolled that lip up. So I'm going to remove that and pretty this thing up a bit. It's kind of rough. Alright, so those look pretty good, I think. I just ground the tops, or the fronts and the tops, and then the two angles. These are table stops, and they turned out really good. I side wheeled all of the short areas, and then just flat faced. Just came down with the work head, so it worked really well. Long as the wheel is relieved proper, and I was extremely careful. Haven't done much side wheeling other than my experience with a cutter grinder, and you grab the wrong handle and give it a crank side wheeling, and you're looking at a crash for sure. So turned out really good, and they're not perfect. I don't want to invest any more time in these than it would have taken to make them brand new. So here is our top piece, which looks a lot better. I still need to deburr and clean up these edges a bit. But now we got a good square end. I reground the end of the shaft, that goes through here. So all these pieces are pretty much done other than deburring them. And to soften all the edges on these, I'm going to be using it's just a Dremel tool, and they're expensive but really good. It's a Kratex wheel, spelt with a K, and they're just rubber with impregnated abrasive, so they work extremely well and give a good finish. Okay, so last week we established that this milling machine had bad bearings, like I suspected. Well, I got in 3 of the 4 pieces that I needed, 2 races and 1 bearing, so I'm still waiting on that 1 bearing. Hopefully it'll be in soon. But before I start putting this thing back together, like I said last week, I want to try to at least get this table off quite a bit. It's too heavy and awkward for me to remove by myself with the equipment that I have, but somebody in the comments suggested that I just hook to one end, and I can slide it the majority of the way off. The mill will support one end and my engine hoist will support the other, so that's a pretty clever suggestion, and I think that will give me access to everything that I really need to see anyway. So that's what we're going to try. I'm going to hook to this thing, and we're going to try to pull this thing off. I'm interested to see what kind of condition everything is in. Well, there it is. Definitely dirty. It's just staining. But that looks really good. All the way out to the ends, that's flaking. Definitely it's had some water in it. But it's just really just staining is what it looks like. This back looks really good. Dirty, but good. So really, man, I really need to pull this table completely off of this and clean this up really well. We'll get a shot of the underneath of the table too, and but I've already seen it. I can crank the table in and out by my, with this thing together and see it. The ways under the table look brand new. They are ground, just ground, not flaked or anything. Wow, that actually looks pretty good. Here is our oiling pads, I guess. Just felt, looks like. Yeah, okay. So it's just a 1/4 inch thick felt pad. I'm going to replace these for sure. This one looks like these front two. I guess it's got water or something up under the front a bit, and so that's 1/4 inch thick, probably 1.5 inches maybe. So I'll have to get some 1/4 inch thick felt and cut these myself. And we got wicks here, just oil wicks. Okay, and so they just pull up. We'll replace those too. So I guess those just sit down in a oil pocket down in the bottom and pull oil up to these pads, and that's what oils the table. Okay, not too bad. Let me get you a different angle and we'll look at this stuff. That's all this stuff looks really good. That's the directional controlled by the handle that I've been working on. It just moves this shift fork and engages this in one direction or the other. Got a big gear coming in from the bottom that either powers one or the other, so that's basic. And that's really it. There's the nut. It looks, from what I can see, it looks new almost. So somebody has definitely done some work on this. Now, the quality of the work, from with all the things that I've seen, not all that great. It's definitely been scraped, but it's got a lot of chatter in it, a whole lot of chatter, and then they flaked it. It is what it is, but at least it's probably fairly flat, and it's not, the table probably won't rock or anything. So there you go, that's what it looks like. Okay, so I got a neat little job that come in. It's a quick, simple job that doesn't pay much, so I had to come up with something quick in order to get the job done. This is an exhaust part that was sent to me by a viewer and subscriber to the channel named Andrew. He also sent me a few parts, or a few tools that were his grandfather's that he no longer needed, and I'll share those with you too. But this is definitely an awkward part to hold. This is off of his Honda Civic. It's a show car. He sent me some pictures, really nice. And this is a performance part, I'm assuming, part of an exhaust system. He did not like that it has a large intrusion on this flange into the exhaust flow path, and he wanted to open it up a bit. He sent me the gasket. I got it around here somewhere to try to at least get close to that internal diameter, just to open this thing up. So let me show you what I come up with. This is a one-off part. If I was doing 10 of them, I wouldn't do it this way, but I'm doing one, and this is not a high-priced job. So let me show you, what I come up with. I tried several different ways to hold this. Considered using the milling machine, holding this flat on the table, coming down. There was problems with all of it, with the work holding and tooling that I have. So this is the method that I'm going to use. I don't see why it wouldn't work. It's actually more rigid than you would think. So we're going to use a 3/4 inch bar. We're just going to come in. This has a large lip that protrudes into the pipe. It's choking the potential flow that this thing could handle. So we're going to open it up to match that gasket a little bit, and then this thing will be finished off with a stone and a rotary tool. It's not an accuracy job. It's just an open up job. That's quick. So let's get started. So I fully expected this thing to sing, but like I said, finish doesn't matter. We'll clean it all up when we're done. Probably good enough. That's pretty good, really. It's about as much as I really want to take off of it, I think. We'll clean that up with the stone, and it should work good. All right, so what I don't know if I'd recommend anybody using wood. It's not it's definitely not rigid, but there was no time allotted really to make a custom fixture for this. No one would pay you to spend 3 hours building a custom fixture. If I was doing 10 of these, yeah, I'd take the time. But it's a one-off thing. Okay, so that finish is actually pretty good considering you know, the method that we used to get it, but a job like this, like I said, you want to do them as quick as you can, as long as you get satisfactory results considering what this is. You know, exhaust is going to flow through this. It doesn't care if the finish is great or not. So I wanted to do it faster than I could do it with a rotary tool, you know, sitting there hand grinding. I mean, who wants to do that? So that method worked. You know, it was quick. The whole setup probably took 15 minutes, and then cutting it probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So I made money on this job. It was a simple job, and it worked. You know, sometimes the quickest, easiest method is the best method if you're trying to make a buck. You know, you could have built a fixture if you was doing many of them. You would have wanted to. You would not want to if you've used that for multiples. But for one, that done the trick. Andrew also sent me some things that was his grandfather's, so I really appreciate it. Nice little wooden box. I've always liked these little wooden, you know, holders. So this at one time probably held some punches or something. So, you know, I'll get a lot of loose punches sitting around, so I'll probably use that. Sent me a really nice carpenter rule, brass and wood. This thing is really nice. If nothing else, it'll go in a display cabinet. I mean, it's, you know, really well made piece. So I appreciate that. Sent me it's a hole saw, really. Got a piece of high-speed steel, adjustable. Got a set screw. You can move this in and out to change the hole size that you want to cut. And he sent me a Lumpkin Magic Yardstick, which reminds me a lot of the old slap bracelets from the 80s that people used to wear. It just rolls out like a spring, and then once you get it rolled all the way out, it locks and is, you know, rigid. So that's pretty neat. Lumpkin Magic Yardstick. And then just roll it up, you know, stick it in your pocket. I thought that was pretty neat. So thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate it. I'll get this sent back out to him, and hopefully it'll serve him well. Alright guys, that's it this week. I'm behind schedule. There's nothing out of the ordinary about that for me, but better late than never. That's what I say. Mother's Day's coming up. I'd like to wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day. Please do the same. I don't know what I would do without my mom and you know, my wife, who is also a mother and holds everything together. That's the way it works for me anyway. I'm a madman running around, but she keeps us all grounded. So I'd just like to say thank you and happy Mother's Day. Thanks to the guys who made a donation, and the link in the description on my videos. Really, me and Elizabeth definitely appreciate it. Big thanks to my patrons who have been with me for a long time. Thank you. Huge thanks to my viewers, subscribers. You get the idea. Click on my little guy to subscribe to the channel. Contact me through my email if you need anything. And as always, I'll see you next time.